Hello, this is an interview that I'm going to do to a famous woman in the history. Hello. Can you tell me who are you? Don't you know who I am? No, you are very rude. I am very famous, one of the very famous women in the world. I'm one of the most famous and greatest painters in the Baroque epoch. Can you tell me something about your life? You never heard about me before? Well, I'm going to explain you who I am. I'm one of the most famous artists. I have a talent without limits. And my name is known today. I'm one of the most famous painters in the world. Can you tell me something about your life? Well, I lived in the Baroque epoch and my life was so happy. I was the unique woman accepted in the Accademia di Disegno in Florence, and my life was very difficult because they don't want to accept me only because I am a woman. I think it's very, very unfair. Oh, wonderful. I think that your work is outstanding. My father was Orazio Gentileschi. He was other famous artist in the Baroque epoch, and he taught me everything I know. Okay, that's right. Now I'm going to show you one of the most famous paintings, and I use the technique of light dark, and I learned this technique of my bigger master Caravaggio. It's a technique that uses lights and darks for resulting and for showing more dramatic the sense that I was painting. For example, this is one of the most famous paintings that I painted in 17th century, and it's named the Decapitation of Holofernes. I painted this because it was a very dark history in my life. Could you tell me something else? I was born in 1593, and my father introduced me in the painting world, and I showed more talent than my brothers. I learned how to draw, mix colors. Can you tell me something about the techniques that you use for painting your works? I observe the color. I observe the color, the nature, the dark, the light, the shapes of everything, of everybody. And painting is my life. Maybe can you telling us about something important in your life that mark the details that you put in your paints? I feel emotion. I feel alive when I painting. When I was 17 years old, I make my paint. This is one of the most famous works, and it's named Susan and the Elders. Like you can see, I tried to show the reality and the techniques of my master Caravaggio. Oh, right. I think that it's very interesting. I always try to show my internal feelings in my works, and every paint I did, I tried to give a dramatic zen of my interior feelings. For example, like you can see, I have feelings. For example, this is my self-portrait when I was 18. For example, this is my portrait when I was 18, and I tried to give a dramatic style, playing with lights and shadows. This is one of other famous paintings. This is named the Venus, and like you can see in every paint I did, they had a realism, a dramatic style in every work. And like you can see, I had a very it's the same dress in that painting. Like you can see, I'm a very sad eyes and a very sad expression. My life wasn't very easy in that epoch. Could you tell me more? Like you can see, I try to express my own emotions, my internal emotions, and without a coincidence, we're with the painting and me are with the same dress. I was with a dress when I find that. Well, but it's other topic. And I always had to express my feelings. Being a woman in that epoch was very difficult, and now in this epoch, in this modernity, everybody can enjoy of an identity and of a very fair society for women and men. But in that epoch was very difficult. Was very difficult. But don't worry, I'm famous now, and every time someone says, "Oh wow, that painting is very wonderful, it's outstanding," I remember everything I did, and I remember all the efforts I did for learning and for encouraging my talent. Thanks to my father and my master Caravaggio. The technique is wonderful. It's one of the most perfect techniques used since that time and in this epoch too. For example, the shadows and lights and this use of color are very famous in the Baroque art, and the modern artists try to copy this style for making more realistic their works. Could you tell me more? Can you tell me something about your life? Let me see. Yes, I remember. It was a tragedy, a very big tragedy. When I was 18, an assistant of my father raped me. Yes, and I was obligated to marry him, and I don't want it. My reputation was damaged, and they tortured me for proving my honesty. It was a tragedy. It was a very tragedy in my life that put a mark in my life. I was tortured. It was very hard, a hard moment. I was in trouble that time. They put a fever in between my fingers like that, like you can see, and they pressured in that way. This was the way that they tortured me for proving my honesty. When I was blooding, when I was supplicating, telling them that I was innocent, they judged Dossi, and he was arrested and he was condemned. And my father was afraid that I never will marry with, I never will find a honest man for marry me. But one day I find a man that wanted to marry me, and I had a daughter. But she doesn't like painting, and I couldn't teach someone else my talent. Oh, it's a very sad story. Yes, I think it's a very sad tragedy. I'm so sorry, really sorry. Can you tell me more? I like the people know more about you and your paints, your work. Now I remember I had a big advantage of being a woman in that epoch, because a man was banned of using women like models. But I was a woman, and I had that benefit. I have the authority, and I was in my right of using nude models. Like you can see, for example, in the picture, you can see a nude model. I could use nude models because I was a woman and I could do it. Can you show me some of your paints? I'd like to the people know more about you. Judith's Laying Hollow Furnace was a picture that I painted in 1620. Was more likely made for Cosimo II de' Medici. He was the Grand Duke of Tuscany, who did the painting from view as he believed it was too horrifying to behold. Like you can see, it's one of the famous works I ever did, and like I tell you before, it represents my emotions, my internal feelings. I would like kill that man, and I was very sad and in troubles in that time in my life. Like you can see, I have a feeling of tragedy, of pain, but this is one of my famous paintings. It's a good job. I think I do it well. Can you tell me something else? I always choose historical and biblical subjects, and I always choose female characters. Like you can see in my pictures, I always try to show women. Like you can see, it's one of my Susanna and the Elders. I painted it in 1610, and it's one of my first jobs. It's one of my first jobs, and I think that it's very important. I in that time felt very sad and with a big pressure above me. Oh, very interesting. I think that learning something more about the art and history of the world is very important. What do you think about the life of the woman in that epoch, in the Baroque epoch, the time when you live? However, I want to pay my attention in two problems that I took when the Baroque epoch was beginning. The first one is the appearing of women painters. Before in the time, women meant to be housewife whose aim was to stay at home and take care of their children. People of the time saw no reason for women to paint. The Baroque time, a time of changes in the life of society, gave birth to women's painting. It was wonderful and marvelous because the women started to be important for the society. Good point. Can you tell me something else? Using rich colors and for example, I could say also that using rich colors and dramatic lighting, shadows, and playing with the shapes, we can show our daily living or everyday life feelings and emotions. They turn a simple thing to an object of visual perception. We try to show the art. We try to show the life in that epoch for everywhere and for everybody. And I try to use this expression for showing how a woman feel and or felt in that epoch. Oh, interesting. Now I have learned about the technique of shadows and light. Oh, very interesting. Yes, I saw a lot of paintings with that technique, light and shadows, and make that the paintings are dramatic. Can you give me a personal opinion? Other important thing about 17th and 18th century was that age was very important. This century was the age of scientific discoveries and intellectual development of the society. It has its own impact on the arts and in the science for all the evolution of this actual world. Hi, my name is Veronica Vera, and I try to do a short role play about an interviewer and a very famous woman, Artemisa Gentileschi. She's one of my favorite artists. She lived in the Baroque time, and I hope you like it. I'd like you know more about this wonderful woman that lived in a very difficult epoch, and I hope you like my video, and you can search more information about this topic if you enjoy about the arts, and I hope you like it. Thank you.